Where we stop at? What we stop on?
So we're back here with Gene Odom. In 1975, was a security, charge of security for the Rolling Stones during the 1975 tour Americas. So we had to come inside off the dock here in Green Cove Springs, where Lynyrd Skynyrd had the Hell House and did all their years of practicing, and we're getting out of the rain. So we're getting back on the story. Gene was just explaining his first nights of work were when the Rolling Stones were about a month into their 1975 tour. They had to stay for 10 nights in New York City. So Gene Odom from Palatka, Florida,
Jacksonville,
in Jacksonville, Florida at the time, is in charge of security in New York City in just a matter of days. So, Gene, if you go back to about how you when your job started there in New York City.
All right, yeah. Ronnie got me to come up there. No, I came up there, and Stones needed some personal security, somebody that they could trust. And Ronnie said, Gene Odom's a man. So when I got up there, they'd already done several shows, and we finished up those shows and went to Philadelphia, somewhere else for the shows, the other shows, and I stayed with them until they got to Jacksonville. When we got to Jacksonville, the Gator Bowl, they played the Gator Bowl, and so I was home, and I told Clayton, I think was the road manager's name, Clayton, English guy.
Peter Rudge?
No, it wasn't Peter Rudge. It was Clayton was the road manager. Peter Rudge at that time. He was Skynyrd's manager. I don't think he was their tour manager at that time. Clayton was the guy's name. And so
it wasn't Bill Carter, was it?
No, the guy, I'll never get his name, Clayton. Now, Bill Carter might have been a part of it, but Clayton was the guy I dealt with. And so we got into town and at the hotel downtown, and I said, hey, I'm home. I'm gonna spend the night with my wife here tonight. He said, oh, no problem, go ahead. So we spent the night, and the concert was the next day. And so the night, the Stones had went out doing something. And so when I got there for the concert, the Gator Bowl, Clayton said, hey, Odom, we want you to stay here in the hotel and guard our rooms. Had the whole floor. Somebody broke in our rooms and stole all our shit. I went, wow. He said, yeah. So we got Bob, we got big Bob, we got a security, we got plenty. And so promoters got security. So I want you to guard our rooms. Don't let nobody go in our rooms. All right. So I sat out there and guarded the rooms while the show went on, And so the Stones, they're 24/7, and they're people, 24/7, drinking booze, whatever they're doing, and they're up for days. I have to get 8 hours sleep. So I told Clayton, I said, man, look at here. I said, I'm home. I said, man, and I said, y'all, I can't run with you dogs. I said, I have to get sleep, and I said, y'all are up and down, in and out. And I said, I can stand so much. I said, but I have to get my rest. I'm not used to this kind of stuff. And no problem. And he said, we're friends. You back anytime you want to come back. So I left him then.
So you did not finish the tour?
I left that, yeah. No, I did not finish that tour.
So there was only 3 more shows after that.
Yeah, but I was beat. They had wore my ass out, 24/7. I mean, they're up. When we left.
At the train going by.
As the train, yeah. When we, I forgot what I was going to say.
You worked quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, everything they do is private, but they go, you know. And when we left, they did a show. We did a concert show in Philadelphia. Instead of flying or anything like that, we took limousines. And so on the way back, they would stop in the city at a liquor store, buy the whole damn front of it. I'm talking about boxes of booze, boxes of booze. You drink what they want and leave the rest of it. I've seen them multiple times. Just leave tons and tons and tons of whiskey and stuff. They just left it, you know, because that kind of money, the lifestyle they led, which they were good people. Mick treated me good. We had several conversations, and um, Ron Wood, I said, we had several conversations, and when I told them that, they understood because I, 10, 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours. I mean, I got to get some sleep. I just can't go because when they come in, you still got to do your job. When they go to bed, you still got to do your job, And they just wore my ass out, So
Did you? So what did you learn from working for the Stones that you carried over when you were working for Skynyrd, Lynyrd Skynyrd? I mean, what did you learn from that experience that you?
about fans, and how adamant the Stones fans were, Mick Jagger's fans, Ronnie Skynyrd's fans. I learned a lot from working with the Stones. Just when I went to work for Skynyrd, I knew some stuff to expect, how people would react around these, to me, one old fishing buddy. But to them people, it's Ronnie Van Zant, rock star, or Mick Jagger, rock star, and that people's attitudes change when they're around those people, and you got to protect those people from their fans. You know what I mean? Not all their fans, but some of them. You had to pick those people out quick, so you would know what to expect if they got close or whatever. You pick them out of the crowd, the
So
troublemakers.
JC, Jim Callahan, you remember him?
Yeah, the
I
name
guess he was security chief.
before me with Skynyrd.
Yes, during the '75 Stones tour.
Yeah,
They
Callahan.
called
Yeah,
him JC.
yeah. I can't remember too much about him, but the
Yeah.
Callahan. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just a couple little things from some of the time while you were on tour. There was a point where Peter Rudge, before you came on, there was an incident that took place in Boston where a fan got up on stage and ran up on the stage, and Peter Rudge is quoted as saying that it was the worst security he's ever seen since Kennedy. So I don't know if it was a play on that, but do you recall it was 4th of July in Memphis
Of 75
of '75,
with
where,
Skynyrd.
no, the Stones, where they had,
I wasn't there.
okay,
Let me straighten you out here because I only worked with them in New York. I went to New York, and that's where they did their 5 shows.
yep,
New York, Philadelphia. Um,
DC was after that, Landover, Washington, DC.
I did that one, and Jacksonville, Florida was the last show I worked with them.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could have done that part of your life as short as it was, do you have any regrets? Would you have done it again?
Yeah, I might have worked. Because the Stones, Mick Jagger is a classic guy, very smart. Um, I learned enough then that I could go back. I'd have to work out and say, listen, you know, we got hotels, got personal security, other stuff. You know, after 8, 10, 12 hours, I got to get some sleep. But I would make sure that there was security, or I'd have another person. I learned enough with the Stones to make me more professional with Skynyrd. And here's something you might not know. In '75, the Rolling Stones held Madison Square Garden attendance record for 5 or 6 consecutive nights. On our fall tour that we was on, the Lynyrd Skynyrd band had Madison Square Garden sold out for 7 consecutive nights. We would have broke the Stones record if the plane hadn't crashed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Did you ever hear about, though, in Memphis, you came back where they had elephants? They had elephants on stage, and they were draped, it said Rolling Stone security in sheets off the side of the elephants. Have you heard that before?
I heard something about that, but I can't remember exactly how it all was. Let me tell you something about Mick Jagger. And there's people don't know this. Mick Jagger is an extremely brilliant guy, very smart. And people don't know this. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. Since way back, when Mick Jagger designs everything, he designs everything for him and the Stones. He designs the stage. He designs all of the stuff that's going to be on stage, any kind of props. He designs his T-shirts and big lips. Everything, and like Skynyrd, when they played over there, I couldn't go. I had a lawsuit in London with 250,000 people. And Mick Jagger had that tongue on the stage for Mick to walk out on. Wasn't by walk out. When Skynyrd went out there, and Ronnie Brain, I got my mules out here. That blew that whole set because nobody was supposed to do that but Mick Jagger and the Stones. Everything he does is for him and the Stones. People don't know this. When that tour is over in the United States, or that tour is over in England and Europe, every piece of that stage, every piece of everything to do with that tour is put in storage, never to be brought out, never to be sold. There's places all in this country that's got Stone stuff when they did here, and over in Europe. You know, he may even ship this over there at a later period, but he designs everything for him and the Stones. When Ronnie did that, that blew that. But he couldn't go out there and make a fool of Ronnie because Ronnie had that 250,000 people in his hands, in the palm of his hands. Freebird, Freedom, Alabama. So Mick Jagger, being a professional, he knew he couldn't go out there and say anything about that because he didn't want to butt heads with 250,000 people. But he blew it for Mick Jagger on that stage. But Ronnie Van Zant didn't give a shit at that time. Come on out there, mules.
Well, Gene, I thank you very much for spending your time today out here at the location where Hell House is. It's right there behind them over his shoulders, the whole location was it. But we appreciate you spending some time talking about the Rolling Stones a little bit more in depth. I know that Rolling Stones fans will be anxious to hear some of the stuff and stories that you shared, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Well, I thank y'all for asking me. And Ronnie Van Zant loved the Stones, Mick Jagger and the Stones.
And Ronnie, I'd like, Gene, I'd like you to make people aware, if you would, about you have a book that you've sold and how they might be able to tell us a little bit about that. So maybe some Rolling Stones fans might want to read about crossover to Skynyrd.
Yeah, I'm sure they can get it on Amazon, or they could, if you want to write my address down, they can order it directly from Gene Odom. GeneOdom, P.O. Box 2162, Inverness, Invernes, Florida 34450. Wait a minute. No, that's 34451. My house is 34451. And the book's $20. They can send an extra 8 or 10 for the mailing it, and I'll autograph it and buy a book.
And what's the title of that book, Gene?
Lynyrd Skynyrd, Remembering the Free Birds of Southern Rock.
Great. Well, I'm sure it's going to be just as informative as this interview was, and I appreciate it very much, Gene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very informative, yeah. Thank you.
All right, take
Appreciate
care.
it. Yeah.